Hello and welcome. Today we're playing Planet Zoo. I love this game. It combines animals, building with some great music and some great visuals. It speaks to the kid in me that used to love building things with Lego, but there's a problem. I've not played this game in a little while, and every time I do play it, I'm always building new zoos and never finishing them. For sure, I'm a starter and not a finisher. So this time I was like, you know what? I have this vision for a zoo where you come into the park and there's like different sections for maybe like the different biomes, so like a tropical area, a desert area, or like maybe by continents. There's an Africa area, there's a South America area, and the people who come get to go through these different areas and experience what it's like to see these animals. Now that's going to take some work, but I'm ready to commit. And I thought a way that I could maybe demonstrate that commitment and keep myself going is by recording it and sharing it with you guys. So when I then look back later on, I can see the growth and feel the accomplishment of the work I've put in. So I'm here with you. You can join me in the build. You can copy it as I do it as well, or you can put your own spin on it with what you learn. And if you've done this before, please give me your tips and tricks in the comments to help make my zoo better. Right, okay, let's get into this. And remember guys, it's all about having fun, right? So when we load up the game, we have the menu, and from what I remember, on the left here we can select our starting point. We have career, which is like a campaign where you build different zoos with increasing difficulty with a really nice, cute storyline. We have franchise here where you're basically building a zoo online and trading animals with other people online. I remember feeling this being a bit overwhelming back in the day because there were so many animals you can trade. Timed is complete against the clock in time scenarios. That sounds a bit more advanced from where I'm at. Sandbox down here is for those who just want to have fun building and don't really want to kind of a challenge. So then you've got challenge, and I remember challenge being like a nice balance between fun in building, but also trying to make sure the economy balances and the animals are looked after. It's not too difficult, it's still nice and fun. So I'm going to go with challenge today. When you click on challenge, if you've already had some zoos, they'll be up here. These are some older zoos I used to build, but it's been a while, so we're going to start from scratch and see what's changed. We have options for biomes. So this is what I was saying earlier on, right? We can pick the type of climate that our zoo is based in, and we've got desert, we have grassland, tropical, temperate, taiga, and tundra. And when you select on any of these options, you get a list of locations, a continent where you can base your zoo. Antarctica, Asia, Europe, North America. I think these are different. Yeah, you have different options when you select different biomes. Now, me, I love tropical. I love the trees, I love the climate, I love the greenery. So I'm going to go with tropical. And when we have continent, I'm going to pick North America, South America. Let's go some South America, some nice big jungles. Oh, wait. So yeah, on the right here, you can see a little thumbnail of what the map will look like. So if I cycle through these, they are a little bit different. So Africa looks cute with the mountains. Asia has mountains, but less green. Oh, that's green. Okay, I think I'm gonna go with Oceania because I like these mountains and I like the greenery. So that's what it's gonna look like. It's tropical, it's Oceania. Difficulty is medium, we'll leave it at that. Terrain type is flat, sculpted. Okay, so this is where you can set like whether the map has hills and valleys and stuff. I'm gonna go with flat to begin with because I want a nice simple build to begin with. It's been a while. And what are we gonna call this? I mean, let's call it the Crossovers Wildlife. Let's go. Okay, wow, that looks nice. Okay, so I think we're playing. Yep, the time down here is moving, so we're gonna just hit pause and just take a moment to appreciate the map. And you can see we've got all these mountains around, giving like a nice little enclosure for our animals. And there's, oh wow, there's a big lake as well, like a river actually, running through the mountains. Okay, that's nice. Okay, this is a good map. And we've got all this flat land where we can build our zoo. Yep, these are still a thing. So, I mean, these maps are incredible, right? I mean, look at the trees, the hills, But the entrance is just this square box in the middle of nowhere. And I think you can zoom in. Really cute, nice decorations. I think these are where your guests spawn in these two little pads here. Um, and there's two over there as well. So, I mean, it's a really nice building, but it is just in the middle of nowhere. But the great thing about these maps, this game, and the tools they have in the terrain tool in particular, is you can pretty much build your own entrance, your customized entrance into your zoo. So it looks silly to begin with, but it doesn't really matter. So the first thing you're going to want to get comfortable with when you load up the game is the menu and the buttons that you have. I'll start in the top right. You have the main menu and the settings that can help you save the game and come out of the game. I mean, save your game regularly just to make sure. Um, in the bottom right, you've got paths, terrains, bulldozing, and the selector tools. You've then got the time, pause, and to speed up time, the weather in your zoo, some camera options. In the middle, you have the building buttons to open up all the building options. In the bottom left, you have the animal management and park management buttons. And in the top right, you have kind of information and the Zoopedia. I'll tell you more about these buttons as we use them, but just kind of knowing the general area of things. So again, the bottom left is the park information. The bottom right is time and weather. That's going to help you just to get started. So those are the basic menus and where they can find them. So as you can see, the game is running, the park is open, but there's no one coming. And that's because there's nowhere for them to go. For guests to move around your zoo and see animals, they need a path. In the bottom right, we have the paths button. This opens the paths builder. And there is two types of paths you really need to understand to begin the game. One is path. These are the guest paths that allow guests to move around your zoo. The other option here is staff paths, and these are paths that only your staff can use and allow you to create back alleys around your zoo for your zookeepers and other staff to move around more efficiently. To get started, we need a normal path. As you can see, when I click on normal path, there's loads of options here for the style of path. I really recommend you go for the one that you like the look of. It doesn't matter, it can be changed, and you're building your zoo, so really go for one you like the look of. For me today, I'm just going to start with a simple asphalt path. On the right here, you have some path settings, such as angle snap, which sets the angle at which the path will snap as you're drawing it out. You can see at 90 degrees, we get right angles, and you can change these options here on the right. The same with length. It sets the length of the path that you're building. Camera decides how the camera follows when you're building. So as you can see, the camera is following at the moment as I build. And the width decides how big and wide the path is. Of course, wider paths can carry more guests. So those are the few simple options for paths. For our first path here, I'm going to stick with a 3 length, 10 meter width and 90-degree angles. I'm going to build just two little sections, and I'm going to change this to 45 actually, and then create a little curve there, which will make sense in a moment. So that is the very basics of pathings. You can create any kind of designs you want really. It's really quite a versatile tool, and later on you'll see what they can do. But for now, to get started, that's going to be enough. The next thing I want to show you is barriers. Barriers are the fences around your animal habitats. And when you click on the barriers button here in the bottom middle, you have the option here of gates and barriers. On the left, you can narrow down the filters, and this goes for almost any menu, any build menu in the game. On the left side here, you'll have different options to filter down your selection. So I've selected barriers, and you see there is a few options here, and when you hover over them you get some more information such as resistance grade, dilapidation rate, opaque, climbable, not watertight. For starters, a lot of this information isn't going to be relevant to you, but what will be is the resistance grade and climbable. So you see here with the hedge we have a resistance grade of 1 and it is climbable. What I want to find for my first habitats are non-climbable walls. So if I do chain link fence, resistance grade 2, climbable. If I do corrugated, resistance grade 2, not climbable. So this is going to be a good starter barrier for my habitat. So right here along this path, I'm just going to, actually the first thing I'm going to do is just quickly extend this path out a bit more. So we get a nice long straight line. There we go. I'm going to go back into barriers, my corrugated, resistance grade 2, not climbable barrier. And you see I now get this blue fence post. And if I bring it close to the edge of the path, it will go red because I'm too close. If I come back a little bit, it will go blue. I'm going to click it, and straight away it builds out a 10-meter length of barrier. Now I'm going to click 2 of them so that I now have 2 10-meter long length of barrier. I'm then going to turn this to 90 degrees, go up 2, across 2, and down 2, and then you see it's red, but when I get closer to that other corner, it connects automatically. So I then click it, and that has created a very basic square fenced off area. Now this does nothing at the moment, and if you wanted to get a bit more creative, you can. Here in the bottom right, you see there's options for straight or curved barrier walls. You can change the height mode, the angle of the snap, or the length. There's also some more options here, but for now, just show you window, which allows you to put some windows onto the barriers, but I'll show you how that works right now. So I'm going to deselect the barriers, build option, and I'm just going to double click on this barrier here. And you see when I double click, it selects this one piece, and I can use these selectors on either side to drag out all across the habitat, but I only want to select these front 2, these 2 facing the guest path where guests are going to walk. So now that I have these 2 selected in light blue, I'm going to come over to the right side, scroll down, and where it says window, I'm going to select glass. And you see straight away it changes those 2 barrier walls to see-through glass, and if I go on both sides, you can see through them. So now I have the beginnings of a habitat. I'm going to go back into corrugated. Actually, I had to deselect it all first. Now go back into barriers, go back into corrugated, and I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to click the corner here of this barrier and click add, and that will allow me to add a new piece from that point I selected. I'm going to drag it out across the path and do 2 again. Okay, it's not letting me do the right angle. Sometimes this happens, and normally you can just correct it by like, nope, it will work itself out. Why is it not working? There's a reason there. I don't know. If you know, let me know in the comments. But what I'm going to do is I'm not going to be picky about the angle. I did 45 before, that worked, right? So I'll just build up 45, 2 more, 2 more. Now the gap here from where I made that angled version, again, if I just come into the corner here, sometimes it's red, but if you just go closer to that corner, it will link up. Barrier building in this game is really versatile, so even if you do get a red piece, play around a little bit, and sometimes it can make it go blue, or there's an option here that will allow you to change the option that will make it go blue. It's really versatile. Don't get frustrated, just play around a little bit or change your design a little in the early stages. It all still works. So now that I've got a second basic habitat, I'm going to do the same thing and double click this front facing section. Make sure I'm selecting both by using these selectors, and then in the right section I'm going to click glass again, and now I have see-through glass on that second habitat as well. So you imagine if you're a guest and you're coming into the zoo, you walk along the path and then you come across here and boom, you can see into both habitats. Right, now barriers and windows does not a habitat make. If I click on these barriers, you'll see it just opens a menu here in the top right that says edit barrier or pay to replace section, which I can't. Okay, good. So looks like a habitat is not a game recognized habitat yet. To make this a game recognized habitat, you need to go back into barriers and select gates. Gates are what allow keepers into your habitats to look after animals, it allows animals to be dropped off into their habitats, so it needs a habitat gate. There's a few different options here, but almost all habitats will work with just a habitat gate. And you'll see when I go close to the barrier, it automatically adds a door to it and a staff path. You want to make sure this path is facing outwards, otherwise you'll have a staff path into your habitat. So I will put one here on the corner of this habitat. So now I have a habitat gate on that second habitat. I'm going to go in and put another habitat gate on this one. And now you see, if I click on that barrier again, it's now recognized as a habitat in the right menu here. And there is a lot more options available for now. We're not going to worry about those. We're just going to double check that our two habitats are working. Habitat 2, habitat 3. And you see when I click on the different barriers, it highlights the barriers of that habitat. So there, with paths and barriers, I now have a very basic way for my guests to enter my zoo and look at animals.